In the far reaches of the galaxy, the Galactic Council sat in silence. Their circular hall, usually filled with speeches and negotiations, now echoed with nothing but the humming of hidden machines. Leaders of over 100 alien species had gathered, but their focus was on a single screen in the center of the room. On that screen was footage, human warship, black as midnight, moving through space. Its hull reflected no light. Its engines made no sound. It wasn't even firing its weapons, yet entire enemy fleets crumbled before it. Planetary defenses were wiped out in minutes. Cities turned into quiet ash fields. And all this was done. Without warning, the council members stared in silence. For a long time, no one dared to speak. Finally, Chancellor Varka of the Talaran species leaned forward. His long silver fingers tapped against the desk. "This cannot continue," Varka said. "The humans have grown, out of control." There were quiet nods around the room. Species that once viewed humanity as a minor race now felt cold fear. Humans had risen fast, faster than anyone expected. Less than 50 galactic cycles ago, they were a new species on the edge of space. Now they controlled sectors. Their ships were everywhere, and no one had ever seen their full strength. A red-skinned officer from the Yolar system spoke next. "Chancellor, if I may, what if we simply let them be? The humans do not interfere with council laws as long as they are left alone." Varka narrowed his eyes. "That is exactly the danger. They refuse trade agreements. They refuse military pacts. They refuse to share technology. This silence from Earth hides something." Another image flashed on the screen. A human Titan-class warship, 5 kilometers long, hull armor unknown, weapons unknown. Only one was seen before it disappeared back into deep space. The decision was made that same day. A council fleet would be sent. Not to attack, but to deliver an ultimatum. Tone it down. The humans were too strong. There, growth had to be slowed, peacefully if possible, forcefully if not. Within 3 days, 5 council dreadnoughts gathered near Earth's claimed borders. Sleek white hulls reflected the stars as they formed a line, a warning line. Messages were sent in all major galactic languages. From the council, humanity must stand down. Military forces must reduce. Fleet numbers must decrease by 70%. Warships of Titan classification must be dismantled. Comply within 10 standard cycles, and then silence. No answer came from Earth. No ship approached the council line. No transmission was received. At first, council admirals took this as a sign of fear. Perhaps Earth had been caught off guard. Perhaps the humans would bow after all. The days stretched on. 10 cycles passed. 12. 15. Still nothing. Until the 16th cycle. That morning, one of the council scouts reported something strange. A human ship, a small freighter, was seen drifting near the edge of monitored space. The scout ship hailed it. The freighter did not respond, aborting. Crew was sent. What they found chilled even the most experienced council officers. The freighter was empty. No crew, no cargo. Only a single data slate left on the bridge. Contained one sentence in galactic standard. "We hear you." The scout ship reported back immediately. The council met again. Hurried now. They debated. Was this a threat? A warning? A sign of compliance? Before a decision could be made, worse news arrived. Another council patrol stationed near the human colony world of Bastion 4 had vanished. No distress call. No battle. Just gone. Their tracking beacons ceased transmitting all at once. Council command believed this was sabotage, so another fleet was sent to investigate. Bigger, stronger. But when they arrived at Bastion 4's location, they found nothing. The planet was missing, not destroyed, not burned. Missing. Where Bastion for once orbited its star, there was now empty space and swirling debris.
The readings were impossible.
Gravity patterns twisted as if something enormous had displaced the planet. And there it was again, another human freighter, drifting silently with no one aboard. This time, 2 words displayed on a screen inside, toned down. Panic spread in the council. Leaders argued. Some wanted to send the full combined fleets against Earth immediately. Others feared that would provoke worse. Chancellor Varka remained calm, even as reports of more missing ships came in. "We pushed them," he said quietly. "And now they are showing us how far they stepped ahead of us while we looked away." Meanwhile, on Earth, inside the United Human Command headquarters, General Alicia Tran watched council broadcasts on a private screen. Her officers stood quietly behind her. "They thought we'd obey," Tran said, voice sharp as steel. "They thought we'd dismantle our fleets." A younger officer, Captain Holt, frowned. "General, should we send an official response?" Tran shook her head, but they already got it. Across Earth's surface, hidden under oceans, beneath mountains, and inside hollowed-out asteroids near the moon, the human fleets were awakening. Titan-class warships powered up.
All silent.
Engines ignited. Stealth protocols activated. But none of this was visible to the Council. From their perspective, Earth remained quiet and still. That was the genius behind it. The humans weren't loud about their power. They had learned early that silence was scarier. General Tran folded her arms. "Now," she said, "we let them wonder. We let them panic." Back in the council chambers, Chancellor Varka leaned forward, looking directly into the main camera. He issued a final message to Earth, voice echoing across countless systems. "Humanity, this is your last warning. Comply or face total consequence." For 24 hours, the galaxy waited. Then a single human transmission appeared on all frequencies. A simple voice. Calm, unshaken. "This is Earth. We have already complied. You asked us to tone it down, we have." The message ended. No more words followed. In every council fleet, commanders now ask the same quiet question. If this is them holding back, what happens when they stop? The stars over Sector 19 were quiet. Too quiet. For as long as the Galactic Council could remember, this sector near human-claimed space was a busy corridor. Trade ships, scouts, military patrols. For 5 straight days, nothing moved. There, Commander Urin of the Council Patrol Fleet sat inside his cruiser, staring at an empty scanner screen. He wasn't an emotional type. The species, the Solari, were known for cold logic. But even Urin felt it now. Something wasn't right. His fleet had been sent to watch the humans after the Council's ultimatum. 5 capital ships, 20 escorts, and over 100 drones. Strong enough to scare off pirates. Strong enough to remind Earth they were being watched. Yet no human ship appeared. No response. No sign of life. One of Urin's bridge officers broke the silence. "Commander, our forward drones, ... are gone." Urin turned slowly. "Clarify." The officer swallowed. "We had 20 drones positioned on the borderline. Their signals just stopped." Urin rose from his command chair. He didn't shout orders. He didn't show fear. But inside, a cold feeling spread through his chest. He gave a calm command. "Send scout probes. Launch 3 from each escort ship. Full stealth mode." Minutes passed. The probes vanished into the black. Nothing came back. Then one did. A single scout probe pinged once a week, broken signal. The communications officer tried decoding it. The crew waited in silence, only the ship's engines humming in the background. When the message finally came through, it was just one thing, a shaky, static-filled video. Commander Urin stepped closer to the main screen, watching carefully. The video showed something terrifying. In the blackness of space, right where the Council's drones had been positioned, there was a ship, but no ship Urin recognized. The hull was dark, not black paint, not metal, but something else entirely, almost invisible. It bent light around it. Shape was wrong, too. Long, sharp angles, like a blade or a claw, no visible. Engines, no weapon ports, just silence. The human fleet, or a piece of it. "Is this a Titan class?" Urin whispered. "No." Another officer said, voice shaking. This is something else. We don't have a class code for this." Before the video ended, the alien crew saw one final thing. The mysterious human ship moved without firing. There's no visible thrusters. It simply slid through space like a ghost. And then all signals from the probe cut out. For the first time in his career, Commander Euron felt real fear. He ordered full retreat. Turn us around. Maximum speed. We leave this sector now. His crew obeyed, but it was already too late. One by one, the ships in Euron's fleet began disappearing. With explosions, not with battles. They simply vanished from sensors. The cruiser's lights flickered. A quiet alarm began to sound. An unknown signal was hacking the ship's systems. Euron opened his command channel. All remaining ships, scatter? There was no answer. His screen showed only static now. Then the final message appeared, flashing across the cruiser's entire control panel in human language and Council standard. Observer fleets are not welcome. No coordinates. No warning shot. Just those words. Commander Euron's ship was the last one left. Alone in the black. Moments later, the stars around him shifted. A shadow passed in front of his cruiser. He looked up, eyes wide. Human ships hovered above him, close enough now to see its strange, almost organic armor, shimmering like oil. Euron never had time to raise shields. The last thing he saw before the systems cut out was a ripple in space, as if gravity itself bent in a circle around the human vessel. Then everything went black. Across the Council, panic spread again. 30 ships, one of their strongest fleets, had vanished. No wreckage, no distress signals. Only fragments of that shaky video. In the Grand Council Hall, leaders argued furiously. Some accused Earth of violating Council law. Others whispered darker things, that humans were using weapons beyond Council science. But Chancellor Varka stood in silence, watching the video loop again. They were warned, he said quietly. The Council sent out a new broadcast across the galaxy. This time, not an ultimatum, but a quiet alert. Human fleets are active. All ships are advised to avoid Earth-controlled space. Proceed at own risk. But for many species, it was already too late. Because the silent human fleet wasn't just defending its borders anymore. It was moving. And no one knew where it would appear next. You said :3, ChatGPT said. The Council's Grand Chamber had turned into a war room. Holograms flickered in the air, maps of space, human-controlled territories. The last known coordinates have vanished. Patrols. Alien leaders spoke quickly, voices overlapping in panic and frustration. No one knew what Earth was doing. They had given an ultimatum. Humanity had not answered directly. Instead, their fleets disappeared. Then Council ships disappeared. Now, there was only silence from both sides. That changed when an emergency beacon activated. A Council envoy ship had arrived at Earth. The plan had been simple. Send unarmed. Diplomatic vessels under official Council colors to monitor compliance. To show the humans there was still a chance at peace. The envoy ship, named Harmony's Hand, dropped through Earth's atmosphere early in the cycle. Its crew expected some tension, maybe human soldiers watching from a distance, maybe silent weapons pointed their way. They did not expect what they saw. As the ship broke through the clouds, the sky darkened unnaturally. The Council envoy captain, a long-necked Rithus species named Kelvier, stepped up to the observation window. His 4 black eyes widened in shock. The sky above Earth wasn't empty. It was filled with shadows. Thousands of dark shapes floated in the upper atmosphere. Gigantic structures larger than anything Council engineers had imagined. Floating fortresses, orbital docks, half-completed warships, hanging like sleeping giants. The scale was beyond reason. Where a normal planet might have a handful of military stations in orbit, Earth had an entire hidden fleet built vertically, stacked like towers into the sky itself. Some of the ships were so large they could barely be called ships anymore. Activate scanners, Captain Kelvier ordered, voice shaking slightly. His crew tried, but no readings came back. The human? Ships blocked sensors completely. Shielded, cloaked, invisible to standard detection. The only reason the envoy ship could see them now was because they had come close enough to break through the outer layers. Kelvier felt his stomach tighten. This was why the humans had gone quiet. They weren't dismantling their fleet. They were building more, bigger, deadlier. Council Command must see this, Kelvier whispered. His crew transmitted live images back to the Council. Across thousands of systems, the footage spread in real time. Citizens of many species watched as Earth's true strength was revealed. On the ground below, human cities looked peaceful, clean streets, bright lights, people walking. But above them loomed the shadows of war. One of Kelvier's officers pointed suddenly, "Sir, one of them is moving." Kelvier turned his head sharply. Indeed, one of the massive Titan-class ships was detaching from its dock. Slowly, quietly. No weapons firing. No alarms. It was simply waking up. And then, across. All Council frequencies, a human voice spoke clearly. Council Vessel Harmony's hand. You have entered a restricted zone. Leave orbit now. Captain Kelvier took a breath and activated the comms. This is Council Envoy Kelvier. We come in peace. We were sent to verify, the human voice interrupted. Verification is unnecessary. You asked us to tone it down. This is toned down. The message ended. Kelvier turned back to the window. The Titan ship was now fully detached. Its hull shimmered like black glass. No visible engines, but it drifted forward slowly, a silent threat. Then something happened that made Kelvier's blood run cold. The ship turned its front toward Harmony's hand and simply hovered there. No weapons aimed, no shields raised. Just a silent reminder of what could happen next. Kelvier knew what he had to do. Prepared for immediate departure, he ordered. We've seen enough. The envoy ship pulled away from orbit. As it climbed back into space, Kelvier looked at Earth one last time. From above, it looked small, harmless even. A blue planet, clouds swirling peacefully. But now he understood. Earth wasn't just another council member. Earth was something else entirely. When Harmony's hand returned to council space, the footage it carried sent shockwaves through every government. Meetings were called instantly, emergency protocols activated. Some species demanded war immediately, others called for surrender. But Chancellor Varka stayed calm. He stood before the assembled council, voice steady and cold. We have seen the truth. Humanity did not refuse our ultimatum because they were afraid. They refused because we never had the power to enforce it. Silence filled the chamber. Then Varka spoke the words that would change everything. From this day, Earth is no longer a junior member of this galaxy. They are a dominant power. Any action against them must now be considered an action of last resort. The council chamber fell into stunned quiet. But far away, on Earth itself, General Alicia Tran watched the same footage play on her private monitor. She allowed herself a small smile. Now, she said softly, they understand. In orbit, the Titan ship drifted silently, its hull. Reflecting nothing, it didn't fire, it didn't chase, simply waited. ChatGPT said the stars above the Zorath colony shimmered as usual. For years, Zorath IV had been a peaceful world on the edge of council space mining, trade routes, quiet settlements. Nothing ever happened there. Until one night, when everything did. It started with a single message. The colony's control tower picked it up just after midnight standard time. A short, sharp distress signal from one of their orbital stations. We're under attack. Unknown ship, cannot identify, and then silence. Governor Talix, an insectoid from the Varn species, was already awake when the alert sirens began. Blaring, he rushed into the command center, multiple eyes blinking as his aides scrambled for answers. What's happening? Talix demanded. Sir? It's not possible, one of the technicians stammered. We're getting nothing from the orbital net. No feeds, no sensor pings. Everything's gone dark. Talix leaned closer to the central screen. It showed an empty black map where normally there'd be dozens of patrol ships, satellites, and stations lighting up. All gone. His legs felt weak. Get me a link to Council Command now. But even as he spoke, another sound filled the room. A deep, low vibration. The walls shuddered. Lights flickered. Talix turned to the window. In the sky above Zorath 4, something enormous had appeared. Oh, a shadow, silent, cold. The technicians gasped. "It's not showing on our scans," one whispered. The entire sky seemed to ripple around the shape. Stars vanished behind its outline. It wasn't just a ship. It was a structure larger than anything Talix had seen, bigger than any council dreadnought, bigger than the colony itself, and the power cut out completely. For 30 long seconds, Zorath 4 stood in absolute darkness. No lights, no systems, even backup generators failed. And then, one by one, the colony's buildings began to disintegrate, not explode, not burn, disintegrate. From the sky, a beam of white light swept down. Where it touched, metal and stone simply vanished into dust. No sound, no heat, just emptiness. Governor Talix felt the floor beneath him shake as he tried calling for evacuation ships. But his voice was lost under the rising hum in the air. A final message was sent from Zeroth, for before everything went silent forever. "This is Zeroth Colony. We are under human attack. The sky, that was all." When Council Command received the report hours later, their first reaction was confusion. "Zorath Colony?" one commander said. "There's nothing there worth attacking. Why would Earth strike a mining outpost?" But then satellite data came in. From the nearby star system, sensor buoys recorded an impossible reading: a planetary mass disappearing, gravity fields twisting unnaturally. The buoys didn't show wreckage. No debris, just a hole where Zorath 4 had been. The planet wasn't destroyed. It wasn't conquered. It was gone, deleted. Council leaders gathered in silence. Chancellor Varka watched the final sensor footage. His silver fingers steepled. Under his chin, "Humanity has crossed the line," one admiral said, voice shaking with anger. But Varka only gave a small shake of his head. "No," he said quietly. "We crossed it. We told them to tone it down, and now they have." A heavy silence fell across the chamber. The council debated for hours. Some members wanted immediate retaliation, massive fleets, lout war. But others hesitated. Zorath 4 hadn't been a military target. It was a test, a message. And just as they argued, another transmission arrived. From Earth, it played on every council screen at once, a human voice. Calm, unhurried. "This is a message from the United Human Command. To the Galactic Council, you requested that we reduce our fleets. You requested that we dismantle our weapons. You requested that we stand down." The voice paused. "We have complied." Another pause. "This is what compliance looks like." Then the message ended. No signature, no video feed. Just those words. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Civilian colonies locked down. Merchants abandoned trade routes near human space. Even pirate factions fled outward, avoiding any path that could intersect with a human fleet. But the council couldn't ignore it any longer. They called an emergency session. When the leaders gathered, Chancellor Varka stood and faced them. "No more games," he said. "We must decide. Either we kneel, or we prepare for a war we may not survive." Around the hall, no one spoke, because in every leader's mind now lived a single image, a human ship, larger than any they had imagined, and an entire world gone in a single night. "You said 5 ChatGPT," said the council's engineers prided themselves on their shields. For 200 years, those shields had kept worlds safe from meteor storms, pirate attacks, and even full-scale wars. No energy weapon in the galaxy could pierce them. That belief ended on the day humans revealed their new weapon. Quietly, the council had sent emergency defense fleets to the outer colonies. Ships moved into formation. Planets activated planetary shield grids. Every sensor system watched for the silent human fleet that had already erased Zorath 4. 4 weeks, nothing happened. Then, at Starford 11, the largest orbital station in the Zarin belt, sensors picked up movement. One ship, not a fleet, not a swarm. Just a single human warship moving slowly through deep space. Commander Zelkin, an insectoid species, known for patience, stood on the bridge of the star fort and watched. Size Selkin asked. The officer shook her head. Unknown. Larger than Titan class. Council records didn't even have a name for something larger than Titan class. The human ship did not open fire, didn't activate weapons. It just drifted toward the star fort like a black shadow cutting through starlight. Commander Zelkin ordered all shields to maximum. 5 layers, the strongest in the galaxy. Weapons ready? He asked. Full charge, came the reply. The human ship ignored all council warnings. It moved until it was only 3,000 kilometers from the starfort. That was when the temperature on the station suddenly spiked. Without any visible weapon firing, the starfort's outer hull turned bright orange. Metal began to melt. Emergency cooldown, Zelkin ordered. But it wasn't heat in the normal sense. Their instruments showed no energy beam, no radiation. It wasn't plasma. It wasn't laser. Council scientists would later call it impossible. The shields didn't fail, they simply vanished. One by one, shield layers disappeared as if erased. No shattering, no overload, just ... gone. Seconds later, the outer structure of the star fort cracked. Panic spread through the station. Weapons. Fire everything. Every gun, missile, and particle beam the Council had was launched at the human ship. The result was terrifying. Every weapon hit, and none of them mattered. The human ship's hull bent the laws of physics. Lasers curved around it. Kinetic rounds disintegrated before touching it. Commander Zelkin's legs felt cold for the first time in his life. His kind did not fear easily, but this was fear. What kind of weapon is this? One officer whispered. No one answered, because no one had ever seen it before. On the human ship, there were no visible gun ports, no missile bays. Instead, a ripple of distortion spread out from its center. Space itself seemed to twist, as if folding. The star fort cracked apart, not from heat, not from explosions, from pure gravitational force. One half of the station was dragged in one direction, the other half pulled in another. Within moments, what had been the Council's strongest fortress was now debris. Zelkin's emergency pod was one of the few that escaped. As he drifted away, he looked back and saw the human ship turning slowly toward the next colony. It didn't speed up. It didn't fire again. It simply moved forward, unstoppable. Back at the Council's homeworld, the footage from Starfort 11 played on every screen. The leaders gathered in silence. Chancellor Varka was the first to speak. His voice was flat now. No anger, no pride, just reality. They have a weapon that bypasses shields, that ignores mass, that ignores energy. This is beyond Council science. A tall, dark-skinned member of the Arasi species leaned forward. What do we call it? Chancellor Varka gave a small shake of his head. We call it exactly what it is. Okay, a weapon we never expected. The Council put out an emergency alert. All colonies were to fall back. All fleets were to regroup far from human-controlled zones. But as the days passed, new reports came in. More Council stations disappearing. More colonies falling without a battle. No resistance. No negotiations. Only silence, followed by gravity anomalies and vanishing signals. And one repeated message from the humans. You asked us to tone it down. Across the galaxy. Fear became something larger than war. It became certainty. The galaxy had changed, and Earth's true strength had finally been revealed. The Grand Council Hall, once filled with pride and speeches, now felt like a tomb. The leaders of every major species gathered again, this time with real fear in their eyes. No one sat in comfort, no one spoke loudly. Too many colonies had vanished. Too many fleets had been erased by weapons they didn't even understand. Chancellor Varka stood silently at the center platform, listening to the arguments. They're everywhere, hissed a Zorlian delegate. Human ships appear out of nowhere, destroy stations, then vanish. Our fleets can't stop them. They're using infiltration, added another leader. Our systems, our codes, they know things we never told them. How is this possible? It was true. The last cycle, Council security systems had suffered strange failures. Defense grids shut down randomly. Shield protocols erased. Ships locked out of their own weapons. Sabotage from inside. The galaxy's leaders could no longer deny it. Humanity wasn't just attacking from the outside. They had agents on the inside. At that moment, the Council's main security doors opened. Guards stood aside as Counselor Cyril of the Kelnary species entered. Cyril was old, calm, trusted for decades. His voice was steady as ever. Chancellor Varka. I have confirmed intelligence reports, Cyril said, walking forward. Multiple members of the Council have been compromised. The chamber fell silent. Varka's eyes narrowed. Explain. Cyril stopped in front of him. Human operatives have been working inside Council territory for years, quietly. Carefully, they planted people in key positions. Communications, defense networks. Even here, in this very hall. Gasps echoed from the gathered leaders. Varka's face darkened. How many? Cyril didn't answer. Instead, he raised his hand slowly, and from his sleeve, a small human-made device slid into view. Black. Neural disruptor. The guards moved too late. Cyril pressed the device's trigger. A pulse of silent energy filled the chamber. Every electronic system shut down at once. Lights, shields, comms. The council hall was plunged into total darkness. For a long moment, there was nothing but shocked breathing and confusion. Then Cyril's voice spoke again, this time in perfect, calm standard. This was always the plan. Emergency backup lights flickered on. When they did, Cyril was gone. In his place, on the central platform, stood a human figure. A man in black armor, helmet off, pale face, expressionless. General Alicia Tran's top operative. The Council's security forces rushed forward, but the man simply held up one hand. From every wall, hidden panels slid open, dozens of smaller. Human drones hovered into view, silent as shadows. Enough, the human operative said, voice calm. Infiltration is complete. Chancellor Varka stood frozen. How long? Since the first ultimatum, the operative answered. While you gave orders, we learned everything. We watched everything. Council guards raised weapons, but their systems were still offline. The human drones simply hovered their lights, glowing softly. You cannot win this war, the operative said. It was over before it began. Your fleets were never the real threat to us. Your unity was. Round the chamber, some leaders collapsed into their chairs. They shouted for reinforcements that wouldn't come, because all council systems were locked down now. Earth controlled the grid. The operative turned toward Varka. There is one final offer. Varka's voice was low. What offer? Surrender, the human said. Not in name. Accept Earth as the primary power. Keep your cultures. Keep your systems. But all decisions go through us. Varka clenched his jaw. His pride fought against the truth. But even now, as he looked around, he knew there was no escape. The human drones hovered quietly, waiting, and outside in orbit, a council satellite caught sight of the impossible. A human fleet. Hundreds of ships appearing all at once, not jumping through hyperspace, but phasing in from nothingness. One moment the sky was clear. The next Earth's silent fleet surrounded the council capital. Varka lowered his head. He spoke not as a chancellor, but as a man facing a truth he could no longer deny. What happens if we refuse? The human operative gave a single, quiet answer. Then everything falls apart. In the following hours, the council officially surrendered. Not through a grand speech, not through a warning treaty, but through a single transmission sent across the galaxy. From this day forward, we serve Earth. Faraway General. Alicia Tran stood aboard the lead Titan-class warship, watching the surrender message appear on her screen. Her officers stood in silence around her. Tran spoke only 2 words, voice flat, it's done. The human fleet held position, not firing, not attacking, just waiting. Because the galaxy wasn't theirs through force alone. It was theirs because no one could stand against them anymore. And humanity had made sure of it, long before the first battle ever began. Across 10,000 star systems, the stars flickered strangely. No alarms sounded. No distress calls went out. But everywhere people felt it a quiet, invisible weight pressing against their minds. In the Volari system, merchants noticed it. First, one moment, their trade routes were clear. The next, every scanner went dark. The same happened in Torsk Prime and on the agricultural worlds of the Rithus Belt. There were no warnings, only shadows. In Council Command, an emergency meeting was already in progress when the first reports flooded in. Chancellor Varka stood at the center platform, watching as one holographic map after another turned red. Admiral Kell, an old warrior from the Joran species, stared in disbelief. "It's impossible," he said. "They can't be everywhere." But they were. The silent human fleet wasn't a rumor anymore. It had become reality. One by one, human warships had appeared across the galaxy. Not just at the councils. Core systems, but everywhere at once. Above outer colonies, near trade hubs. At mining stations, no one thought humans even knew about. And not just one ship per system. Entire squadrons. Dark, massive, unmoving, not attacking, not speaking. Just hovering there, watching. General Alicia Trans stood aboard the lead Titan-class vessel, her hands folded behind her back. Through the wide viewing window, she saw countless alien planets below. Her orders were clear: deploy everywhere at once. To show the galaxy that Earth's reach was no longer limited to its corner of space, the night of 10,000 shadows had begun. On the ground, panic spread quickly. Farmers abandoned their fields. Merchants fled stations. Council ships scrambled in all directions, only to find human fleets already waiting for them. Some commanders tried to engage, but each time they found the same result: no battle. Human ships refused to fire first. Their message was clear without words: "We are here. We are watching. We do not need to speak." At the Council's main defense headquarters, Admiral Kellan slammed his fist against the table. "They're taunting us. We have to attack." But Varka shook his head slowly. "If we fire first, we'll give them the excuse they want." Kellan's face twisted in frustration. "We can't just let them surround us." Yet what choice did they have? The human fleets didn't block trade, didn't interfere with civilian traffic. They simply existed in overwhelming presence, like a storm cloud that never rained but promised lightning at any moment. In the Rithus system, a council fleet actually managed to corner a smaller human detachment 5 ships against 1. The council fleet opened fire without waiting. Missiles, plasma, high-energy beams. And when the smoke cleared, the human ship remained untouched. No damage. The council fleet vanished 10 seconds later. Not destroyed, not captured. Vanished. Scanners showed impossible readings: folded space, gravitational echoes, temporal disturbances. Science broke down when facing human technology now. It wasn't war, it was something else. Something the galaxy didn't have a word for yet. On her flagship, General Tran finally spoke aloud to her officers. They need to see. They need to feel it. Her communications officer nodded. Broadcast. Every channel, across the galaxy, every holoscreen lit up at once. No matter the planet, no matter the species, everyone heard the same calm voice. General Alicia Trans. This is Earth.
I'm cool.
Her voice was steady, unhurried. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to destroy. We are here because you forgot who we are. Her words echoed in 10,000 star systems. 4-2. Long you believed Earth was a distant world, a minor power. You pushed us. You tried to control us, gave us ultimatums. Her voice darkened slightly. You asked us to tone it down. There was a pause. We did. The message ended. Across the galaxy, no one dared move. For hours, the silent human fleets hovered above every major world. In some places, people fell to their knees. In others, entire governments shut down their offices, too afraid to give any order that might be seen as hostile. But still, no human ship fired a single shot. It wasn't about destruction, it was about control. By the next galactic cycle, the term "the Night of 10,000 Shadows" had become official in Council history. Chancellor Varka stood once again in the Grand Hall. He faced the silent screens showing all human fleets still in place. And he said only one thing to his gathered leaders. The war is already over. We just haven't signed the papers yet. Far away aboard her flagship, General Tran listened to that broadcast with a quiet, satisfied smile. Didn't need it. To give further orders, Earth had already won. Without firing a single shot. You said :8, ChatGPT said. In the Council's command chamber, the atmosphere had changed completely. No more arguments. No more shouting. No one questioned anything now. The galaxy had watched Earth's silent fleets hover in 10,000 star systems. Entire worlds had fallen quiet. The last message had been clear. You asked us to tone it down. We did. Now the Council faced its final decision. Chancellor Varka stood before the gathered leaders, his voice lower than ever. This is the last command, he said. We have seen what humanity has become. We have tried to hold control. Now we must choose destruction or obedience. The chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, each council leader gave a quiet nod. No one said the words, but everyone understood. It had no choice left. Council Command prepared its final broadcast. At that moment, in orbit above the Council's capital world, human warships waited. The Titan-class vessel at the front drifted. In place like a sleeping predator, no weapons fired. No shields raised. But everyone knew, if the Council made one wrong move, everything below could vanish in seconds. In the command deck of Earth's flagship, General Alicia Tran stood watching the planet below. Officers waited for her signal. Chancellor, Varka will decide soon, Tran said quietly. Let them speak first. On the ground, the Council's final message echoed across the galaxy. It was short, simple. This is the Galactic Council. From this day, we stand under Earth's authority. We serve the United Human Command. Peace will be maintained under their leadership. There was no dramatic speech. No long explanation, only a single trembling sentence. And across the stars, trillions of citizens from every species watched. In silence, the galaxy's strongest leaders had surrendered not through force, but through quiet fear of what humanity could do next. Inside Earth's flagship, an officer turned to General Tran. The Council has spoken. Tran gave a small nod. Her voice remained steady. Good. But she wasn't smiling, because Tran knew this was just the beginning. Across human-controlled systems, fleets began to return to dock. Titans moved back to high orbit. But the message remained clear. Earth wasn't claiming territory. Earth was claiming responsibility. Every planet, every trade route, every political decision now passed through one quiet filter. Does Earth allow it? On smaller worlds, alien governments fell into line quickly. Trade stations reopened, this time with human overseers in place. Entire fleets reflagged themselves under Earth's banner. But no violence followed. The galaxy had feared fire and death. Instead, it found something colder. Order. Weeks later, Chancellor Varka stood again in the council chamber, now rebranded as a regional command center under human authority. He addressed the gathered delegates. Today, our species move forward. In peace, humanity leads not because they desire war. They lead because they earned it. His voice was calm now. There was no bitterness left. After all, even Varka knew the truth. If Earth had wanted to, there wouldn't be a council left standing. At the same time, far above, General Tran recorded her own final message. Her words would be broadcast across all systems, played once per galactic cycle as a reminder. This is General Alicia Tran of the United Human Command. To all species and all worlds, we are not conquerors. We are not destroyers. But we will not be ignored. Her voice was steady, her eyes calm. For too long, you asked us to hold back. You asked us to tone it down. We did. Tran leaned slightly toward the camera now, and you should remember that. Because what you have seen is humanity at its calmest. Imagine, for a moment, what might have happened if we hadn't. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, no one spoke against it, because every species remembered what they had witnessed. The quiet night when Earth's silent fleets hovered in place. The hour when the Council surrendered without a single battle. The moment they realized Earth had been holding back all along, and that next time there might not be a warning first.